The purpose of life, after all, is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. Eleanor Roosevelt. So we often get so tied up in making a living that we forget to truly live. We think that earning a wage day in and day out is the most important thing. And where that is important, it shouldn't be the only thing that we focus on. We should enjoy life as much as we can and create a life that allows us to dictate where time and resources go. So sometimes even through our successes, we realize life is missing something. And that's why I'm so excited to have Justin Hanover on the show. He's been in business for over a decade, starting at the age of 19, building a private fitness facility to around $500,000. And he learned through this business the importance of designing a life that he wanted instead of merely working to live. He now coaches new entrepreneurs on how to maximize profit without sacrificing their lives. Justin, welcome to the show, man.
Chris, absolutely. I'm truly honored to be on and to be able to connect with you and your audience.
Yeah, so excited just to pick your brain a little bit and learn and share that with everybody. But I guess to start, just tell us a little bit more about your backstory and how you got building this business to where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of a quick overview. I'd say back later teens years, like when I was kind of first getting on my own, like after high school and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I started actually going to school for architecture and drafting.
Okay.
And I was getting into, because that's what I thought I liked. I was into the design aspect and the critical thinking, that type of thing. But I got like 6 months into that program and quickly realized like, this is not for me. This is not how I want to live. And I dropped out, which was an interesting conversation with the family. And basically at that time, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but didn't necessarily, and took some time. I was just working and eventually found that, okay, I want to dive into more of the fitness realm.
Cool.
And it was something that I thought of before, but my limiting beliefs at the time were like, nah, you're not that fitness person. You can't do that. You don't have big muscles or anything. So it was always like these constant like limiting things up until that point. And then I was just like, you know what the hell? Like, let's give it a shot. So I went to school for personal training and then immediately started my own business right away. I started doing mobile. I went to people's homes and businesses. I had a couple of business accounts. And from there, then I was able to open up my first small studio. It was about like 500 square feet. So it was much bigger than a closet. But it was good location and it was just big enough for what I needed. And I didn't really care. It could have been even smaller. I wouldn't have cared because it was an opportunity. And that's how I was hungry for that.
Right.
So it grew up my client base there to about like 35, 40 clients. And then I realized that this is nuts and I need to start leveraging my time a little bit better. And that's when I opened up, which didn't really make sense now, but opened up a second location to do like small group training to be able to service more people. And that's when I started hiring coaches and stuff like that. But then also that's when more stress and more demand started.
Oh, I'm sure.
So it didn't necessarily do what I wanted it to do.
Yeah.
But again, you still push forward, and this is kind of the big mistake that I made, which I can probably go over more later, but push forward and continue growing more. And then we made another jump to a 3,000 square foot space. And then finally at a 6,000 square foot facility.
That's awesome. And that's kind of cool. And we're both from the health and wellness kind of field there, me being an athletic trainer and everything. And so I think that's so admirable that you had this kind of this drawing of, I want to do physical fitness. Like that's what I want it to be, but I'm architecture. And you went against kind of what people were telling you was wise. And you went for it. And that is so cool. I think so many people have trouble just taking that first step. And you were able to do that and not only do it, but do it well and grow a business. But I know that, like you said, it kind of stretched you thin, especially opening up that second location. How did you figure out, or when did you figure out you needed to more or design your life in a way that gave you less stress and made it in a way that you wanted to live day to day?
That really wasn't until, maybe like 8 or 9 years in.
Okay. Wow.
I just like push through like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's, unfortunately, I think that's the way a lot of entrepreneurs operate.
Mm-hmm.
They just keep their head down and keep going, ignoring the red flags that are showing.
Mm.
And I also think, like, I had this belief that, like, I knew what I was doing wasn't how I wanted to live. And I just kept thinking that, okay, if I'm able to get to a certain level, then it will click.
Yeah.
Then I'll have time. I'll have freedom. I'll have all the things that I want and be able to live the way I want to live.
Right.
And that's such a wrong way to go about it, because that's just not how it works. Because if that's how the business is run and it's how your life is, I mean, just getting bigger is only going to add more to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily going to all of a sudden you hit this like epiphany and this moment where just like everything clicks. And I think that's, again, a common thought process, especially for a lot of like newer entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like getting going, like, okay, if I can just get to 100,000, if I could just get to 500,000, like things will just change. And that's just it's not the case. And so for me, then, like, it took a long time. I have a thick head there.
Yeah.
Finally realizing that, no, this is not okay. This is why I keep hitting roadblocks. This is why I'm getting stressed, burnt out, because I'm just not living the way that I truly want to live and the impact that I want to have. And I would say, like, the last year in business before we closed down our actual like brick and mortar location, it was just like blow after blow of things that can happen happened. And that's when, like, my wife and I started talking, and we're like, this just doesn't feel right. Like something's not right here. Like, we need to evaluate what it is that we really want. And that took some time of us kind of like soul searching and figuring that out. And we both kind of came to the conclusion that continuing this how it is not for us. So we, then it was like the struggle of figuring out what to do with it. Like, do we close it? Do we sell it? Do we give it to somebody? So that was a stressful process. But the biggest thing that felt the best was just making a decision towards the life that we want to live. And we knew that we took that first step, and that's what you have to do.
Yeah. What were some things that you saw maybe in your life that were being negatively affected by not scheduling your day how you wanted it, or what was best for you? What were some things that kind of had a negative impact with it?
I mean, first off, my personal health, and like, I wasn't prioritizing my own health and workouts, which is like, people think that's crazy. Like, oh, you're going to a fitness facility, like, that should be easy. And it's like, no, I deal with the same problems as anybody else.
Yep.
And so that was definitely something that was being affected. And my relationship with my wife was definitely being affected. I mean, we both said, if we couldn't continue down this path, we would have been divorced, or she probably would have just left me, because we were not in a good sync. We were not, like, we would go days with barely talking to each other. It was just not in a good place to have a thriving relationship. And ultimately, that stuff like affects your business. Because that's, your business is an extension of you. So
for sure,
if you're dealing with that stuff at home, then guess what? That's going to carry over into your business.
Yeah. And that's a great point, because, like, you're right. And I hear it so many times from people, or things I read from other people who went through it, is, I didn't think about me. I didn't think about my relationships. And so those all struggled. And how you put it, those all correlate back to your business, because it's an extension of yourself. And so everything starts to teeter and start to go downhill a little bit if we're not truly scheduling and dictating our life how we need it to be. So what are some things now that are like a precedent, that are like non-negotiables in your life that you have to do daily or weekly or whatever it might be?
Well, it's really just like my approach now to each and every day.
Yeah.
But I do have like kind of like now like a good, like, I guess, like, morning routine that I follow every single day. And it's just, no matter if we're traveling or not, like, we make this happen. So we pretty much will get up around like 5:30, 6 every day. And we start our day together. Like, we call it our coffee time, where we are able to talk, connect with each other, share our intentions for the day, our schedules, our gratitude, like, kind of just have some like deep conversations in the morning. And that obviously, like, puts you in the good mind, like an abundant mindset for the rest of the day. And then from there, then I'll go work out. usually spend about an hour or so working out, and then I'll go in sauna,
Nice.
and then I'm ready to start my day. So that's pretty much like every day, like clockwork.
That's awesome.
That happens no matter what. And so
Yeah.
I starting my day off now, putting myself first, and then my relationship first, and then the business comes after
Hmm.
that. Because I've realized that obviously you can't be your highest self, your most productive self, if you're not putting yourself first.
For sure.
So that's a huge aspect to growing a business, but also growing a fulfilling business.
Absolutely. And yeah, like if we're emptying ourselves to help others or to run our business and we're not refilling that internally, then like we're not going to be able to really serve others to the extent we should or are capable of, because we're so run down, we're so empty. So yeah, I think that's a great point, to serve or to take care of yourself first. So then you're able to help even more people because you're fully there, you're fully able to commit. And so I think that's super important. And I like that morning coffee you do with your wife. That's a good um, habit, I think. And it's hard with my wife and I because I get up a lot earlier than she does. And so
Yeah.
we try to do it in the evening. But yeah, it's
Yeah. I
still
mean, whatever works
powerful.
for
Yep.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding that time that works for everybody. Yeah, because we're all different for sure. But you said that it's took you a handful, 8 or 9 years, I believe, to kind of realize that you needed to schedule your day and build your life that would suit your future better. Uh, what were some challenges to kind of changing that schedule, that routine, because you've been doing the opposite for so long?
I think it really all just comes down again to the mindset that you
Hmm.
have around things. And prior to that, like I put the business first.
Yeah.
I was focused on growing that and making that happen. Like my vision was to be able to have multiple locations like
Hmm.
across the East Coast. Like that was like my big picture vision. And like so I thought that like that's what I had to keep pushing for. And if I didn't make that happen, then ultimately the business would be a failure. And what even bigger thing for me, like my legacy wouldn't be there.
Mm,
And that's what was driving me, and if anything, affecting my vision of being able to see like, hey, this is not for you. This isn't okay to keep going down this path,
right.
and basically like, not living in alignment with what it is that I'm really supposed to be doing and how I'm supposed to be living, and it just causing more tension like that. So that being able to let go of that,
Mm,
and let go of like that past vision that I had was a big thing,
yeah.
and in realizing that it has nothing to do with me personally, and it's just this is a time in my life where I need to make a pivot now.
Absolutely. And yeah, that would, I mean, any trying to change habits and routines are hard regardless. So that's cool that you're able to do that and see the impact. Now, you talked about you're getting rid of the physical training business to move on to your another business, correct? Tell us a little bit about your new business.
Yes. So, me personally, now I
Mm-hmm.
focus. I've been doing this for some time, and it's just now I'm going actually full
Full,
more
yeah.
into it, of coaching young newer entrepreneurs that uh, want to structure their business in a way that serves their life best,
Okay.
and making sure they're not sacrificing their life. Because like obviously I've been down that road.
Mm-hmm.
I played that game, and I know how it ends up. And that's kind of like my big purpose and mission behind what I'm doing, is to make sure we have more productive entrepreneurs out there that are giving back in the highest way that they can give back, and also living a fulfilling life.
Mm, awesome. And so with your new like your life that you've designed the way you want it, have you seen that this new business has been more positive or maybe shown more fruit from the labor because of how you're aligned your life day to day?
Oh, absolutely. Like it's it's like it's when you're in sync, it makes a
Mm,
big difference, because it feels like things are just happening, but it's not. I mean, like you're still putting the same amount of work, you're still putting the
right.
time in, the effort in, but when you're enjoying the process, like fully, and that attracts that type of energy back into your life. So it has that feeling that things are just falling into place for you.
Mm.
And that's what I've been experienced since fully diving into this. Like the opportunities and the doors that have opened up for me have been tremendous. And I'm also not bringing that stress that I had when I was running the fitness business into this. And whereas the fitness business just became about the numbers, and this business is totally like the opposite of that, like totally just about like the process and the impact and the experience that I'm having with it.
Service.
And the numbers are falling into place. Like it's not my main focus.
That's awesome. Yeah, having that correct focus, I think, to serve others, and that's just your goal and your passion in it, and it's showing with the growth of the new business, which is awesome. Now, obviously, no one's perfect. We all have things to work on. Is there something that you're hoping to maybe tweak the design of your life or add into your routine that maybe you're kind of is newer in that process? Something you're trying to do better or more?
I mean, I would say everything really. I mean, you could always be doing everything better.
Yeah, no, true.
I don't think that process ever gets, I mean, you never get to a point where, again, like you're just this master at everything and nothing could be improved. I always look at what I could be doing better. And I constantly audit myself now with like my new direction and what I'm doing daily and monthly. Like I'll set I focus more so on setting personal goals than so much business goals like I used to in the past. Because again, I think that brought my focus off of enjoying the process to just focusing on the numbers, which again, of course, I mean, that is important. Like you need to make sure you're hitting certain things and when it comes to like your KPIs and stuff. But if you're not enjoying the process, then what's the point of even doing it?
No, that's a great point.
That's kind of like how I keep myself on pace with making sure that I'm focusing on the right things. But I would say, I mean, my big thing, like what I'm going to be focusing on this year is just setting more time for like education, learning time.
Awesome.
Is a big thing that I want to do for this year. And
that's what kind of along with me. I'm trying to read 52 books this year. So really up that for that self education, the benefit from that for sure. So
absolutely. And that also just come back to like improving your discipline.
Yep. Yeah. And like you said, we can always improve, and there's always room for growth. So I think with our designing our own lives the way that we want to live, I think that again correlates to our passion, our purpose, and that will help that grow even if we don't focus as much on the KPIs of the business itself. So what would you say for someone maybe just starting, maybe a client of yours or whatnot, how they should start to design their lives to see positive change?
Well, it comes down to really kind of getting quiet with yourself and creating clarity in your life behind like what it is you really want and how you want to live. Business aside, like put that aside and strictly just focus on like what is a perfect day for you? Like how do you want to live? Like what's the impact you want to have? Like those are the deeper, bigger questions you should be asking, and then bring the business into it, because then you'll be able to see, okay, no, this current business model, what I'm doing does not fit for this. So if I keep going down this and trying to force this to happen, it's not going to be good for me. So that's where like people can be making mistakes with either getting into the wrong business or pushing the wrong business model because nobody ever like kind of like taught them to focus on building their life first. I mean, we're not taught to do that even from school. I mean, we're taught to just find a career and that's your life focus. And hopefully everything else falls into place. And that's just not gonna lead to a good, happy life. When you need to start putting your life first and designing that with purposeful intention, and then you're going to be able to build a good business that just fits right into that, integrates with it like perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so, because life's so short already, and we're so busy worrying about our job instead of worrying about our lives and the lives that we have influence over, our circle, our families, like taking care of them and doing what's best in the time we have. I think it gets so lost. And I think that's why we're seeing so much like burnout and so much mental, like depression and things of that nature nowadays, unfortunately. So yeah, I think being able to design our lives more around our own health, our self-wellness, and then again, I just can't reiterate it enough. That'll come back into the lives of those that we serve and are able to touch. So, and that kind of goes into, we try to end the show before you leave with a couple questions that have to do with pencil leadership, the traits. And so the first one is, who has impacted your journey the most as like a mentor or a coach?
Well, I've certainly have had a lot of good mentors and coaches along the way, but ultimately I would have to say, like, when it comes to my life, my wife, hands
Okay.
down, has been the biggest contributor to like how I live and like the mindset that I have now. And like, we really work well together in that aspect. So I'm very grateful that like we're on the same page with that.
That's awesome. That's a cool one. The second one is that sometimes there are hard times, there are mistakes we make in life. Have you had a hardship or a mistake that you've made that you've been able to get through, fix, but looking back, you've actually gained some positive from it?
Yeah. I mean, I can dive into mistakes that I've made all day long with the 10 years of growing that business.
Right.
Um, but ultimately, I would say like the whole thing itself is a big like a mistake, or like, it's not a mistake. I mean, it was meant to happen, but it was one huge learning experience
Yeah.
into propelling me forward into what I'm doing now, because like I wasn't living in alignment, and I was like I was making decisions again based off of the numbers and what other people were doing in the fitness industry, not like what I personally like wanted to do or believe in.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure obviously, like, like the fitness industry is filled with a bunch of crap and not good intention
Yep.
behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that was really affecting me. And like just, I don't know, I guess I would say like not being in alignment with the type of people that I wanted to really work with. And because that really affects you too. Because I mean, it's, ultimately I realized I don't connect with a 45-year-old woman who is looking to lose 20 pounds. I'm not a woman, and I've never experienced that.
Right.
I never had to lose 25 pounds. So I think that's a huge mistake that people can be making, is like not being able to really truly connect with what it is that you're doing or who you're trying to impact. And knowing that, but still pushing forward because you think that that's what you have to do or that's what you should do. Like listen to your instincts and like what you're telling yourself. I mean, if it doesn't feel right, it's because it probably isn't right. So that's something to not like push to the side, like explore that. If you're having those feelings in your business or your life, like start exploring that. Don't run away from it.
For sure. Yeah, I think being aware of what's going on to really change the trajectory of our lives and our journeys, I think that's huge. And I'm glad that you were able to see those and then and make the changes that needed to be, and then now have a positive outcome from it. And the last one that I like asking people is, so everything's said and done on earth, your time's over. What positive mark do you want people to see from your life? What positive mark do you want to leave?
I think ultimately it just ties in like that, like for me, like to be an example of like not being afraid to just step into like your purpose and your power and how like, you are meant to live, like the impact you're meant to have, and not being afraid to do that, even though if it's against the norm, if it's against what everyone else in your life is telling you.
Yeah.
And still stepping out and doing that and truly designing the life that you want. As that's, like I said, like my legacy, I thought it used to be around like having all these fitness locations. Now it's around like genuinely just helping people live happy, fulfilling lives.
That's awesome. And that's a great legacy to want to leave, for sure. And I think you're on the right track, and I'm excited to see just where this journey takes you. Absolutely. Again, I'm so grateful and humbled that you were a guest on the show today. But is there any way or a way that you want guests to be able to find you, learn more about you or your business?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I definitely feel free to reach out to me on social media. I'm on Instagram at justin.hanover, Facebook, Justin Hanover. And I mean, if you're able to, in the show notes or like on my page, I have a link that you can take. It's a free quiz, and it basically walks you through. It's going to point out what areas in your life that you could be lacking in that are that are creating roadblocks. And what you're going to get in return is a personalized video for me sharing what your results were, and then action steps on how to improve those particular areas in your life.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll definitely add that link to that free quiz and video in the show notes. So check that out below for that free information from Justin. But Justin, hey, man, again, thanks so much for being on the show. It's great having you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, Chris. And I'm truly honored to be on.